Hey there. Welcome to the Eurostep, a Milwaukee Bucks podcast, proudly a part of the Blue Wire Podcast Network and GSPN, and presented by our pals at Prize Picks, America's #1 daily fantasy sports app. I am TyTy Windisch, one of your hosts, joined as always by the slightly groggy this morning, and we're going to blame the 0-5 Summer League Bucks for that, Rohan Katti. Rohan, sir, good morning. How's it going?
Good morning. I'm doing as well as I can for before 8 a.m. on a Monday, which explains the grogginess. But
you're not going to blame the Summer Bucks.
No, I'll blame the Summer Bucks for a lot of things, but we'll get into that.
Okay.
What a disgrace.
Yeah.
But no, happy to be here. Happy to be here as always. Love talking basketball here on the Eurostep. So you know what? Life is good. Life is good.
Couple quick things. First, GSPN Premium. Go subscribe, gspn.info or gspn.substack.com. You get a bonus pod every week with some amalgamation of the GSPN crew. Last week was a late title retrospective with Adam. I believe Jordan. Was Andrew on there? I mean, a good mix of the non-us folks. I mean, as good as it can be, without us. But we've been on there for several episodes as well. It's been really fun to put those bonus episodes together, so make sure you go hit that subscribe button for $8 buckaroos per month. Plus, you get written content and commercial-free versions of all GSPN podcasts on one feed, which is a pretty nice little perk as well. Plus, our undying appreciation, so that's good as well.
Yeah, make sure you subscribe.
Make sure. Actually, you can do it as a birthday present to Newmock. Happy belated birthday to Nooms. I didn't tell him I was going to do this, but we celebrated with a golf outing. And one last shout-out on the back of that. I believe Matt from Youngblood Brewing, want to give a shout out to him who listened. So this was a craft beer, I think it's like the craft beer classic at Brown Deer Park. Not a very good golfer, but I'm getting back into it. First hole. It's like this thing where they have like little there's a bunch of local breweries and they give you little samples of the beer and then you can buy the full cans from the, is there a politically correct term for cart girl? The traveling concessions worker? I'm not sure. But regardless, first station, I sample a nice beer. Again, I'm almost positive it was Matt, and I did text you to make sure I got it down, but there were beverages being consumed that day. But I tell him, just don't tell anyone about my golf game. First hole, the three guys, bad tee shots, par 3. I lace one right on the green, turn around, scream at Matt, tell everyone, but don't look at any of the rest of the shots. My best shot of the day by far. But that's my golf story. Those are my shout-outs. That's all I've got before we can talk about basketball now.
Nice. Shout out to Matt and shout out to your golf game.
It needs it. It needs the encouragement after the way the irons haven't been kind to me.
It's a lot better than mine. It's a lot better than mine.
Well, let's move on.
Some big news from the Milwaukee Bucks happened the last week, Ty.
Yeah.
You and Jordan were able to cover the announcing of the signing of Gary Trent Jr. for the Milwaukee Bucks. I was not there, so I'll just give my 2 cents for a second.
Yeah.
First off, that's awesome. That's really cool, isn't it? I mean, this is the best remaining free agent on the market, and it seems like Mr. Rivers, it seems like Dame got whatever needed. They did whatever they needed to do to get Gary Trent Jr. here on a minimum contract. This is a guy who refused $14 million a year from the Raptors earlier this year and is looking for a bigger payday. And what better way to do it than trying to win a title as a starting 2 guard for the Milwaukee Bucks? Because that's what he's going to be. He's going to be the starting 2 guard. That 5th starter debate is over for now. You know what? For now. We've got.
I think at least for 1 calendar year, we're going to be pretty settled on that one, to be honest with you.
I think we're going to be okay because Gary Trent Jr. is a different caliber of player than we've been worried about, like in that role in the past, right? It all started Wes Matthews with you and me. Like, is he there? Pat Connaughton, Malik Beasley, Jay Crowder. I think Gary Trent Jr. is a lot better than all of those guys put together.
Grayson, Malik Beasley. Yeah, I think we've loved. I mean, Dante way back when. I think what do you think specifically about his defense? Because I've been kind of like, I think it's okay.
I think it's passable.
I'm hearing a lot of, and even on the low post, which the most pro Bucks episode in weeks, still there was like a 3-minute section where they're just like, oh, Giannis, you never know how. It's like, really, we're gonna do this again. We're gonna do this again. He's got, 3 years left?
That's why I stopped listening.
Yeah. But it seems like people are a little higher than us in like passable and think that, especially with not much burden offensively on a very good team, which it's been for a while, there's really more defensive upside. I know he's racked up a bunch of steals. Also, is 6'5" with like a 6'9" wingspan, which I never really realized Gary Trent Jr. was that big. So I just want to say add to my comments. I'm open to Gary Trent Jr. being a good or better defender. I'm just going to wait to see it. But I think he came on the Summer League broadcast to talk about how excited he was to be on the Bucks, maybe before his contract was like officially signed, or at least before they announced it, which I thought was interesting.
He was wearing the same outfit as when he signed the contract. Nice. So
wow. So probably that day. Or he's just like a degenerate. Which I'm going to imagine he's not.
I'm assuming he came to Vegas, signed the contract, and went on the broadcast.
Oh, yeah. I don't know why I assumed he would sign it in Milwaukee. I guess they had everyone in Vegas. He could probably do it there, huh?
Yeah, I think that's what happened. That makes more
sense. I'm thinking like he signed it in Milwaukee, got on a jet, flew to Vegas, and then stepped off and immediately got to this broadcast. Although I think it was actually during the day. That makes a lot more sense. Thank you, Rohan. I don't know why it was like, I thought it was law that he had to sign in Milwaukee. Why do they not do DocuSign? And
that's what I was going to say
before.
I think we've talked about this before. Just use DocuSign. Not very sponsored, weird. But
Did they ever show Taurean Prince signing his?
Probably.
I don't know if they showed it. I know they announced it. I wonder if he used DocuSign.
I don't know. Maybe.
To not know free ads, a digital signing technology platform. That rolls off the tongue.
It's like one of those things like Kleenex, right? It's like become its own brand.
Which is actually bad for them.
It is, isn't it?
And their trademark. Well, they say it is.
It's very good for them.
Yeah, they say it is, but I'd rather be so ubiquitous that nothing else really compares than not. So I think they're doing okay over there at Big Doc.
Big Doc. Speaking of Big Doc,
closer.
He
flew out to Miami, closed the deal, flew to Vegas, flexed on it, dropped exclusive Khris Middleton injury news. Moved on. There's no one like him. I'm telling you, if you're a Bucks fan who's still like a Doc Rivers hater, just embrace life as the comedy of errors that it is. I every time the big guy speaks, I'm just like, this guy's hilarious.
What's he going to say this time?
What a character.
Because he truly is a character. The Khris Middleton thing was crazy. But
both his ankles got tore up. He's going to be fine.
But just to bookend Gary Trent Jr. I think it's an incredible signing. Best remaining free agent. Shows the value of Damian Lillard as a member of the Milwaukee Bucks outside of just playing basketball. Just being able to recruit his guy, get his guy. He tried to recruit Haywood Highsmith, didn't get him. I think it worked out.
Yeah. Imagine if the Bucks couldn't get Gary Trent Jr. because their last roster spot went to Haywood Highsmith.
Yeah.
That'd be bad.
But yeah, the other news is our favorite frugal guy who doesn't like to pay for his own dinner, Doc Rivers, announced
Dude, he did it again on the broadcast. I almost feel like he's leading into the bit at this point.
Bro, he asked, who did he ask? It was PJ
Carlissimo. Yeah.
He was like, "Hey, you know what? Dinner's on you. Whatever you're in town."
Like, Doc, oh my God, Doc! You just signed for so much money.
Do you think he listens and is just like, "We need to keep this character going"?
I almost feel like it is. It feels like a reference at this point. Like when Bud said Core 4 right after we started calling the group of Giannis, Chris, Drew, and Brooke the Core 4. Bud used it like the next week.
Yeah.
They hire a Bucks coach. They're like, listen to this pod. These idiots are right one every 10 times, but their fingers on the pulse. They don't know how to read it. Like, have you seen that drill? Was that a drill tweet where it's like, checks pulse, totally missing the vein. He's dead. That's us with the Bucks.
Yeah, but it's like, for that one time, we need to make sure you're prepared. Yeah, plus, Doc's a podcast guy,
He is. So he could just be studying tape for his inevitable return to content, which is now. He really took no time off.
But he went on the Summer League broadcast, and he's like, you know what? Did this happen before or after you and Jordan talked? This happened after, right?
After, yeah.
So he went on the Summer League broadcast, which was just first off, just gold.
Bucks PR has to just be like DEFCON 5 when Doc is going on any broadcast.
He was the best commentator on that broadcast.
100%. He's good at it.
Yeah, he's genuinely good at it.
Yeah.
It wasn't even close. PJ, and I don't know what the play-by-play guy's name was.
There's 15 people there, yeah.
He was running circles around them.
Yeah.
But he went out there, he was like, yeah, it's like the big thing for Khris is health, he had surgery this offseason where he's going to be ready for training camp, and everyone's just like, wait, did Doc just announce Khris had surgery?
Twitter at that moment was so good. Doc just said, what?
Doc's like, everyone collectively is like, wait, is this like in reference, did he confuse last offseason with this offseason?
I know, it was hard to tell as well.
And then,
the way he said it.
Of course, the next day, it comes out via that Athletic that Khris had surgery on both his ankles.
Yeah.
Arthroscopic surgery on both his ankles, just cleaning it up. And it's like, oh, okay, cool. Thanks. Thanks, Doc.
It's via Doc, really. I mean, Doc with the scoop there. And then just was corroborated by the Athletic. Yeah.
I think the Athletic's just like, bro, what? You have to say something now.
Oh yeah, you have to put it out. Well, and just the clarity was good. I'm not taking a shot at the other. It was just funny, like via Doc. Yeah, I think we saw Khris at Summer League in a bucket hat. The Bucks were like, "Hey, Khris in a bucket hat," and all the reports were he's getting around fine. It was. And I was excited about the post too. I was like, "Oh hell yeah, Khris in a bucket hat."
I don't know why that was really funny.
I know, just Khris in a bucket hat, baby. But he was getting around good. People said, I think Eric Name of The Athletic actually included that in his report. Like, he's getting around okay right now. I believe Doc actually said he's doing some light on-court work already, and the expectation is he'll be back for camp. So this isn't really something I'm too concerned about. I believe Giannis had a knee scope over the last summer and came back good. Am I misremembering?
Yeah, no, you're right. You're right.
And it seems like all indications is this is closer to that kind of a procedure than I'm wading into dangerous waters here, as I am much more not a doctor than you. But seems like a less serious procedure than some that Khris have had in the past.
For sure. This is more of just a cleanup procedure. Yeah. Make sure, it's all good. Because he's had issues with his ankles. And this is the guy, again, it makes his playoff run look even more impressive.
Doc basically was like, he wasn't healthy, but nobody was playing, so he thought he had to play, more or less. It's like, good on you, Khris. You didn't, but good on you.
Yeah. And he realistically is the only reason the Bucks were even in that series at all.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah. Obviously,
after Dame, the first two games or whatever, yeah.
But still, it was a masterful performance, and we appreciated that much more now that we know he was doing it on two bum ankles.
Yeah, seriously.
Not just one. We knew it was one. But two. Just like no legs.
Yeah, he had said, for the context here, one obviously was the injury we saw in the playoffs, where was it Siakam or Turner came down on him after a drive, and that was Dame. I'm sorry. It was just a dribble drive where he'd done it. The other one was still way back from that Suns game where KD was under him and he missed all that time. It was still bothering him. And I remember he said in the coming back from that, like, this is my worst ever ankle sprain. So that had some effect on him all the way through, enough that he wanted to get that cleaned up as well. Pretty wild. I mean, how bad of a random fluke injury that was, but certainly hoping that this is going to help Khris come back into next year healthy. And again, if he's already doing light on-court work, we have a couple months still until camp. Seems like he should be back on time.
Like a month and a half-ish? It's getting there. It's almost August.
Yeah, when does camp start?
September? Mid-September?
Mid-September, yeah. So I guess less than 2 months. Wow.
Crazy.
Yeah.
This offseason's just been flying.
I know. And then the Olympics are going to speed it up again soon here.
I know. The Olympics. I mean, we have heard legend Wenyen Gabriel getting absolutely robbed of free throws to go beat Team USA in that tune-up game. Because you and I were talking before this started. But the U.S. is going to kill South Sudan in the group play.
They're going to try. They're definitely going to try. They owe them one now. But hey, South Sudan stood firm in the friendly game. Maybe they'll stand for if your friend of the pod, Thon Maker, can come through.
My friend of the pod. Just mine. Just
it's my acquaintance.
But if Thon Maker's able to suit up for South Sudan. It's a whole different game now.
Game changer.
Yeah.
Can't teach that size.
You can't teach that size. You can't teach that mobility. You can teach a lot of other things, though.
Yeah.
But
I hope this gets maybe him, but certainly Wenyen Gabriel and another look at an NBA I think he deserves
Carlik Jones.
Yeah.
Put up a triple-double against Team USA.
I can't believe this was like Bron Stan fanfic, dude. USA about to fall to South Sudan and no one else but Big Dad LeBron through the lane, tough finish, and then it's absolutely Rob Wenyen Gabriel on the other end, but that's okay. But LeBron coming through to save USA, and then like the next day is announced as the flag bearer. Oh my goodness.
First men's basketball player in U.S. Olympic history to be the flag bearer. Pretty
wild.
Yeah? You think it's because it's his last one and he's like one of the most iconic United States athletes of all time?
Is there always just one total? You get like two, right?
I think you can get
a couple. I think Greece has two. Yeah.
Greece has two, Giannis being one of them.
Well, I'm thinking mostly it's probably because like you're going up against Phelps, you're going up against, some
Simone Biles. You're going up against Simone Biles this time.
Yeah, and now you got enemy of the NBA,
Katie Ledecky,
Noah Lyles.
Yeah.
So
he's not as iconic as Katie Ledecky or Simone Biles, though.
No, not yet. He's got a lot of medals to win for. I mean, he's poised to probably be there next Olympics if he's still running by then. But yeah.
But still, it's crazy. I think it's crazy that LeBron's doing it. Not crazy in a bad way, but I think it's just like, wow.
Yeah, I couldn't believe the last two women to do it was it Taurasi and Dawn Staley?
I think so, yeah.
So it's only been a couple basketball players in the last couple decades here. Yeah, neat. It'll be cool to see LeBron and Giannis as flag bearers as the country's going to the. I wonder if there's going to be any other NBA stars. I mean, how cool would it be if it was like Giannis, LeBron, Jokic? I guess Luka's not there anymore, but just a bunch of NBA greats walking in with their flags.
Jose Alvarado.
Wenyen should be there.
Maybe.
Or Thon, surprise announcement.
Oh my goodness.
Then Giannis just runs over and dunks on him. Somebody has a basket behind him.
He does that bit from like 10 years ago where you just
yeah, drive up and dunk. Okay,
but everyone's gonna be on boats. So
it's a boat. Oh, they're doing it down the river. They're obsessed with the river.
Well, they had to clean it. So
I know, and now they're just they want to get their money's worth.
Well, it might not even be fully clean yet, but
let's see how the mayor looks. The mayor of Paris jumped in there, right? Like, let's get a camera on her before anyone else jumps in. Like, let's get the data here.
You know what's crazy about the Olympics that I didn't consider? And we have stuff we actually need to talk about.
No, this is us trying to not talk about the Summer League Bucks, which I respect.
It's, one of the competitions is surfing, right?
Yeah.
But where are you supposed to surf in Paris? So they're flying them out to Tahiti to go surf.
I imagine they would just get like a wave pool.
But you are on, like, let's say you're competing in the Paris Olympics.
Yeah.
And then you go to the opening ceremonies in Paris. And then you get on a 22-hour flight.
Yeah.
To go actually. I mean, it makes sense intuitively because it's like you have to go somewhere.
Yeah.
But that's crazy to me.
It's kind of surprised there's nowhere on the coast. Is it too cold right now in France? No, it should be the same. It should be the same season, right? Maybe it's just not a good surfing beach anywhere. I mean, you don't have to be on land very much. It's just an idea. If the Olympics people want to save money on those Tahitian flights, they can think about. Or if they want to generate some extra money, they could check out Prize Picks, America's #1 daily fantasy sports app with more than 5 million active members. IOC Commission. Consider getting on board here. It's the easiest and most exciting way to play DFS. It's just you against the numbers, picking more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections to watch the winnings roll in, where you can win up to 100 times your money. You could turn $10 into $1,000 with Prize Picks, watching Team USA or Team Greece rack up the gold medals this summer. You can make a Prize Picks lineup of players across basketball, soccer, tennis, golf, and more in as little as 60 seconds. If you're looking for promotions, Prize Picks has got you covered every week, from lowering select player stat projections on Tuesdays to help your lineup hit, or getting your entry fees back if you have a losing lineup on Fridays. You can get in on the action across 30 states, including, of course, Wisconsin, as well as some others that we don't like quite as much. I am looking at LeBron James for more points once the international basketball gets started, because that's a pretty good bet. Also going to dip into some more golf. I had a pretty nice lineup over the weekend that I actually did get a 5 out of 5 and one. It was a 6-way. One ended up pushing. So we got 5 out of 5 on the projections. We take that as Scotland absolutely tore up the field, and the less than birdies was a good play for me. Download the Prize Picks app today and use code Eurostep for a first deposit match up to $100. That's code Eurostep on Prize Picks for a deposit match up to $100. Pick more, pick less. It's that easy. All right, Rohan.
Question.
Okay.
So again, to delay talking about the Summer League Bucks.
Yep.
So I was watching the what was it, the Open Championship this weekend? Yeah. What were those coffin bunkers? Is that normal for a golf course, or
it's normal for a links course in the UK? That's like a style of course where it's like short. There's really tall grass off the greens. Not short, excuse me. There's really tall grass off the greens. It's very hilly, and there's a lot of wind and like weather in play. And yeah, they have those coffin bunkers.
I was like, what on earth is this? It makes no sense.
I saw a very funny meme, I think Newmock showed me, of like a golfer just like pointed 90 degrees perpendicular from the hole just to get it out of one of those, right? Because you couldn't go straight up. And the caption's just like, when the edible hits on the course, which is like a very funny visual. But yeah, it's a wild style, of course. I mean, that last day, like nobody could get on the green on a par 4 and 2 because it's like 450 yards, wind whipping in your face. It's pretty dramatically different style of play, which made it kind of interesting to watch, kind of more fun. I don't like in a major when they're like 30 under. You know what I mean? Like, if I wanted to see like everyone just drive the green, I would just go play like I guess they're not Tiger Woods, PGA Tour 2K21. I want to see. I like to see some challenge. I want to see a challenge overcome, not just like who absolutely destroys the course and chips in more eagles.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I understand.
I wouldn't want to play that course.
Yeah. Speaking of a challenge, though, watching the Bucks Summer League team.
Yeah.
0-5 for a team that going in, as we talked about, I thought had a chance to win the championship just based on the roster.
About that.
We were very, very, very wrong about that, and we'll get into why. A lot of players let us down. Some players really showed us some stuff. So what we're going to do here as an exercise is we are going to do a stock report for the Milwaukee Bucks Summer League. We have capped ourselves at plus or minus 3, so that's the most or least stocks we can give or take away, whatever you want to say. So the highest we can go is plus 3, the lowest we can go is minus 3. And we're going to do this for the entire roster, especially for those who are actually part of the big boy club. But we're gonna pitch each other.
I have 6 NAs. I mean, 6 guys who barely played, and I just didn't think. Yeah. So James Akinjo, Jamar Chaplin, Divine Eke, Jalen Lewis, Justin Moore, Ade Murky. Sorry, I don't have takes.
Yeah.
If you have any takes on those guys, we can get there. Okay.
I'm very happy you said that, actually.
Yeah. I have some zeros, which I wanted to emphasize is different, of just like no movement on a few guys. But I didn't want to lump those guys in because, I didn't see enough. James Akinjo, I know from the herd, solid player, really didn't get a chance to do much. So the other guys not really familiar with that much generally.
For sure. Should we start at the top? Should we start with the absolute best? Probably the best we're going to get.
Sure. You go, then I'll go, and we'll trade off from there.
Okay. Ryan Rollins.
Okay.
No, I'm kidding. He's not the best we're going to get, but I wanted to talk about Ryan Rollins.
That's fine. I go ahead.
So I had him at a plus 2.
Okay.
Because this is a guy, obviously, on a 2-way contract with the Bucks for the second half of the season, and, was actually playing very, very solid basketball. Out of all of the players who were primary ball handlers for the Summer League roster, Ryan Rollins impressed me the most. Yeah. First off, he seemed the most under control, which, again, low bar, considering it was like A.J. Johnson, Hugo Bassan, but he was the most under control. He seemed like the most solid actual point guard on the roster. He was able to handle, he was able to drive and finish creatively. He wasn't like a traffic cone on defense. He didn't stand out to me defensively, but offensively, he was hitting some shots. He was driving to the rim. He was dishing it out. He was under control. He looked like an actual NBA point guard out there, Ty, which really impressed me. So I'm going to go with a +2.
Yeah, I actually went +3, and I don't think it's because he played as well as my other +3, but I think it's because versus expectations, right? That's what we do, and we didn't do like an IPO for this or anything, but he to me came in as like, oh, I don't even know if he's going to retain a two-way spot. Like, didn't just think that highly. Although he had a nice season with the Herd, and I thought he was by far the best of the two-way players. Again, we, of course, did not see Stanley Amudier, who probably would have helped, who I think is still dealing with that fractured ankle. But I thought Rollins defensively was solid. I mean, 1.4 steals per game is not bad. That was second on the team. He also had a couple of blocks, I believe, over the course of the Summer League, but a positive assist-to-turnover ratio on this brick machine of a team was good. Added 3 rebounds. Only ends up shooting 33% from 3. Had a couple rough shooting games, but still nearly 48% from the field. I mean, he was able to get into the lane and finish. He had some nice, step-through finishes, when it looked like there was nothing else going, that I was like, oh, I didn't know that was in the bag. Definitely one of, I'd say, 2 guys who made the absolute most out of this opportunity. So that's why I went +3, just because, I mean, frankly, I did not expect Ryan Rollins to be any sort of a storyline coming out of Bucks Summer League, but he was. I mean, he really became, I think, one of the main, at least positive stories. So I think that's about as big of a rise as we could have expected from him in this venue.
Yeah, there wasn't a ton we could really, again, maybe I should have gone a +3 based on expectations. I went a +2 purely because we didn't do an IPO. Yeah. I get too in the weeds about this stuff, Ty.
That's fine.
Yeah, just very, very impressive. Very impressive. I could see him being an emergency guard at times for the Bucks this season.
Yeah. I mean, I think he's probably first in line right now, right? I mean, we'll talk about A.J. Johnson, but I think Ryan Rollins looks a lot more ready, especially on this Bucks team, to come in and function as a guard than A.J. Johnson does.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Should we talk about A.J. Johnson, or should we go somewhere else?
I'm doing Chris Livingston. You're not going to make me wait. I am getting my CL agenda up in front here. +3. I would say really did not have a true stinker game, which I think every other player had at least one. Obviously, they lost all of them. I love to see him fighting hard throughout. The Bucks almost came back in that Washington game, their last Summer League game. Second night of a back-to-back. Again, CL, these 5 games, 4 of the 5 were made up of a set of back-to-backs. So not great scheduling for the Summer Bucks, not excusing how horrible they were. But did not affect Livingston much. 14.8 points, 8.6 rebounds, and 2 assists per game. Also added 1 combined steal and block. 53% from the field, 43% from 3. Didn't shoot free throws well. Not too concerned about that, frankly. Just looked awesome. I mean, I think the one thing he has to work on, I'll start with the negative first, just needs to be a little quicker to contest shots and get around screens on the perimeter. Just still a little too slow to do those things in my estimate, but also it was Summer League, so everything with a little bit of a grain of salt. But I just thought, offensively, he did a lot of things well. Rebounding-wise, he ends up leading this team in rebounds. It helped that he played the most, but some grown man rebounds, especially I noticed some in that Washington game. The passing looked really good, a couple of beautiful passes in the interior from the perimeter and vice versa. Had, got his hand on a couple balls for the steals, but he's just a freight train, man. And they let him loose, and he looked great. I mean, we've said it, gained as much ground as anyone. I think from this Summer League, put himself on level footing with an Andre Jackson Jr. going into camp for who's going to be the 9th or 10th guy. Because that's really, again, we've walked through, those are the only spots available at this point. It's those 2 and Pat Connaughton fighting it out for 9 and 10. I think CL put himself on level ground with the way he played, especially the way he shot. And the shot just looks so much more sustainable than the guys he's going up, or not Pat, but so much more sustainable than AJ.
It looks a lot better than Pat sometimes.
Yeah, well, it's gone in better than Pat recently, that's for sure.
But no, you're absolutely right. Khris Livingston's the easy +3 here, right? I mean, you're starting to convince me, Ty. You're starting to convince me because it was really eye-opening. This is a guy we hadn't seen a lot of, not only last Summer League, but this year for the Bucks. Didn't play a lot with the herd. So not a huge opportunity to showcase his skills. And he took that opportunity that he was presented with this Summer League and ran with it. Absolutely ran with it. And played really good basketball, right? Like, here's the thing. Like, we talked about Ryan Rollins, right, earlier, and his utility as a point guard and stuff with the ball in his hands. That's not what matters, right? It's because this team has Damian Lillard, Giannis Antetokounmpo, Khris Middleton, Gary Trent Jr., DeLon Wright, to go up and down the list, right? In terms of people who are able to handle the ball. They don't need Ryan Rollins to be a great ball handler. Khris Livingston was doing all of this in a context that you could see playing for actual minutes for the team. He was doing it off ball. He was playing good defense. He was reading the lanes interior and finding the seams for players to be able to get to him, making the right reads if he actually gets the ball. But he was doing this all in like a quaternary role, right? Like, which is what he would do as a member of the Milwaukee Bucks if he actually is playing meaningful minutes. And I think that's the most important part of what we saw.
One thing we haven't, he screened. He screened really well for players, like all the little things. And again, there were times where he would get the ball and just like, all right, let me seek out one of these guards to toss it to him and then screen, or like roll off of them for some space. Like, it wasn't like, every player didn't have the option to play that way. I think some guys chose to, some guys not. And obviously there's different roles on the team, but CL plays all 5 games, more minutes than anyone else, both per game and total, and really embraced that role the whole time, locked in the whole time. Just really impressive. I mean, hard to say enough about Khris Livingston. I think as soon as we defined what our upper bound would be for upstocks, it was probably pretty obvious from both of us he would be. I'm assuming you're also at +3 if I missed you say that.
No, I did. And yeah, he's +3. Obvious. Very, very obvious. Just
like a masterpiece. Really, again, the Utah game personified. It's just like refining the skills, doing those things more. I think he might get a chance to actually play this year. I think if he does, he's going to capitalize on that too, because all these things we're talking about will fit wonderfully between the Bucks starters.
He did last year too. Yeah. It was just a very, very limited sample.
Oh, man.
I could see him actually taking a bit of Bobby's minutes.
Oh, wow. See, I'm not sure. I don't know if he showed he was quite big enough. Or do you just mean pushing Bobby to the 5 and like taking some of those 4 minutes?
That's what I'm saying.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't want Bobby to really be a 5. We've seen how that's gone. It's not gone very well. But if it means you can get some CL in your life, I think it's worth it.
What a journey to get here.
I know, right? It's been like a year.
It's been a year. I mean, we had a couple weeks ago, like, oh, if only they could cut this guy. His contract is guaranteed. Folks were saying, so we could sign more of these.
Who was saying that?
I don't want to name names.
Okay.
I think Frank Madden said that.
Oh, no.
I love Frank, but I think Frank. There was like if they could get rid of Khris Livingston, they'd have a roster spot to go after Josh Okogie or whatever the hell. Pretty happy that they did not do that. And obviously he's got a guaranteed contract, which is like some of the reason why he didn't do that. But
yeah, fair.
But yeah, me and Justin Garcia, man, the true CL believers, were welcoming people to join us here. Are you? I think you're here now.
I'm here.
Didn't get as good of a deal on land as me, but I'm glad to welcome you onto CL Island here.
Thank you. You own the majority. I just have a timeshare.
Yeah, no, I'm not going to say you have a timeshare. You've got like a pool house.
They got a pool house?
You're living where Will lived in Fresh Prince.
Oh, that's awesome. I'll take that any day.
Nice. It's nice.
But you own the rest of the island.
Yeah. Not the whole island, but a lot of it.
90% of the island.
I was due for one of these because I've championed so many herd guys where I saw the vision and either opportunity or
you championed a lot of guys in general.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Well,
37, baby.
Who was it? Somebody said, I'll have to look it up, that was it Reitz?
I think it was that Chris Livingston is what we thought Semi Ojeleye would be.
it awakened something deep in me. I had never thought about it that way, but 100%. Like, it's the very similar, just like jacked forward who should theoretically be able to rebound, push the pace, and hit threes. But Shemi really couldn't do any of those things. CL is looking promising.
Bro, Semi Ojeleye was a disaster.
Yeah.
God.
I was due.
You were due, and I think you got it here. Unfortunately,
I feel real good.
Unfortunately, one of the guys I've championed is really, yeah. We got to do it.
Yep, rip the Band-Aid off.
So Marjon Beauchamp, this hurts me to say. Is that a -3 for me?
I have the same minuscule Marge.
Minuscule Marge. I mean, what? Just nothing worked. Nothing.
And it got worse as it went on.
Because it definitely did get worse as he was playing. Because he was trying to do too much. Yep. He was trying to be like this apex guy on a team. He wanted to prove that he can be. And he can't.
No.
He can't. He can't be a lead ball handler. He can't be a lead scorer. He can't play off ball in this summer league sample. Nothing went well for him. He couldn't shoot from three. He at 30% from three.
Yeah.
Wasn't getting to the line. Wasn't getting drives. Stopped taking shots. It was bad. That
last game was just, it was honestly just sad. I think he had 3 or 4 or 6 points or something, and just kind of faded out of the game as it went on. And the more that it was AJ Johnson or Ryan Rollins instead of him handling the ball, the better they looked, frankly. I don't think that's his skill set. And I think after the first 2 games, he should have looked at what Chris Livingston was doing and just said, okay, I'll do that. Because he rebounded the ball well. He ended up, I think, second on the team in rebounds. That was our third, actually, after Tyler Smith as well. And, okay, let me just focus on these things. But he just kept going on with the, I'm going to take every three. I'm going to drive a bunch. I think this puts it into perspective. A.J. Johnson ends with an 0 for 12 game, a true Alex Sarr performance. And they both shoot 32-point-something from the field, and A.J. Johnson had a better three-point percentage than Marjon. Again, the 19-year-old, 2 years away rookie who ended with 0 for 12 had roughly the same shooting splits for Summer League as a whole, which is just brutal. I don't know. I really at this point wonder, are they going to try and find somewhere to send him? But I don't know if anyone would just take him without taking on a pick after that kind of Summer League. I think this probably firmly closes the door on the experiment in Milwaukee.
I think it might.
We're not that far probably from the player or for the club option being due.
That'd be next year.
Or is he already to restricted free agency instead?
I think it's next year. I can double check.
Either way, put it this way. I don't think after this, with the way some of these other young guys played, that the Bucks are going to commit any more financially to him going forward. Unless something just insane happens, but he's probably 12th or 13th on the roster right now in terms of guys who have a shot to play. So his club
option for this year was picked up last year.
Yeah, it's always a year ago. Yeah, so I think if he gets to free agency as a Buck, I think they'll renounce him.
He has another club option for 25-26 where the deadline is October 31st.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so that's okay.
So that's the 4th-year option. They picked up the 3rd year, the 4th-year option.
Yep.
That's going to be interesting. October 31st.
I don't know if it is.
That's so sad, man.
Do you have the number in front of you? It's it goes up a bit.
4.7.
Yeah, that's 2 Gary Trent Juniors.
That's crazy.
So I think that's a pretty easy decision when you put it.
Did you know Gary Trent Jr. is a year older than Marjon?
That's actually insane.
Because he's 25?
I think so.
Yeah.
Is Marjon 20? Marjon's not 24, is he?
He's 23. He turns 24 in October.
Oof. Yeah.
That's tough.
Yeah, it is. Did not realize he was also a Rich Paul guy.
Marjon, yeah.
Or Clutch guy. I feel like every time we see Clutcher on the Bucks, they're just interacting with CL. Poor Marjon.
No, they're interacting with Gary Trent Jr. too.
Yeah, I mean, the Milwaukee Bucks becoming a quiet clutch team is so funny.
That's why I'm like, I think I replied to one of your tweets. It's like Clutch is doing its thing because they got Marjon. They got Rich Paul was telling teams not to draft CL so he could be a Buck. Yeah. We got Gary Trent Jr. now.
It's just funny given the whole, I feel like for a long time, Rich Paul was like the everyone goes to LA boogeyman, and now everyone's going to Milwaukee boogeyman.
Everyone wants his guys in Milwaukee.
Even though none of the Bucks core like star players are clutch clients, which is kind of funny.
It is. It's a very fun dynamic.
It's just literally like a good basketball situation, and guys are into that apparently.
Yeah. Shout out Rich Paul. Come on the pod.
Yeah, that'd be interesting.
That'd be a get.
Yeah, that'd be a. I don't know what we'd ask Rich Paul the whole time, but I'm sure we could come up with some good questions.
Yeah.
Do you think Rich Paul, like, what could Rich Paul do for Thanasis?
You do a lot for Thanasis. Also, the roster's full, man.
Again, for now.
For now.
Like, would you be surprised if today, we get like a Bucks send Marjon Beauchamp to San Antonio for draft rights to
Marjon and Pat?
Well, that now you're talking. I think you got to give something up. I think it's more realistic.
I think teams would still take on Marjon, thinking they could turn him into something.
100%. I don't think you could include Pat as well without giving up picks.
That's fair.
I think if Marjon had a solid summer league, maybe they'd be like, all right, we'll take Marjon. We'll take on Pat to look at Marjon. Now I think you're getting into like, would you even just take Marjon for nothing? Sad. That's where we're at. It was a really bad summer league. I mean, he came in, again, talking about it's a sacrifice and he's got to come show out. It didn't happen. And I think with other guys making advances, it's just probably the end of his Bucks chapter. More, I mean, like, again, he may play here or there. We'll see if he comes into the season or not. But I just mean, again, 11th, 12th right now on the roster in terms of like pecking order on who should actually play. It's just a rough place to be coming into year 3.
Yep, really, really is, especially when 2 rookies were outperforming you.
Yeah. Let's talk about AJ Johnson, one of the more probably fun to watch players in Bucks Summer League, despite the 0 for 12. I'm not that worried about the 0 for 12. Second night of a back-to-back. I mean, obviously you'd prefer he plays better. I'm not saying it's like ideal or anything. But on the other hand, I looked this up. So AJ Johnson, when he played in Australia his last season, logged like just over 200 minutes. And in those 5 Summer League games, again, 4 of the 5 were bookends of a back-to-back, he logged 111 minutes. So basically nearly played as much in Vegas in about a week as he did in Australia in a year, which I think kind of explains why, probably running a little low on gas by the end of that sprint. Like, just had not played a lot of high-level basketball because of the situation in Australia, and did not play statistically well. Again, I talked about basically the same shooting splits as Marjon. Did have a plus assist-to-turnover ratio, but just barely. But man, some of the moments where he had the ball in his hands, like real juice. Like the dribble, like it squirted out in weird ways where he was able to just like get around defenders when it didn't look like he was going to. Nice eyebrow raise, Rohan. Thank you for that. I'm just going to power on through here. The shot I think looks good. Again, it did not fall to a very high, but also these are like a lot of like tough step back looks. There was no spacing on this Summer League team, which I think really is what doomed them at the end of the day. Every other team was just knocking down threes left and right because that's the nature of the modern league. And the Bucks just did not have the shooters to keep up. Nobody outside of Khris Livingston hit above 40% from 3, outside of Murky, who played 10 minutes and was 1 for 2. Nobody else who played real minutes was above like 36%. And a lot of guys were below 20%, and that makes it pretty hard to have any sort of spacing. But I thought AJ Johnson, super fun, super excited to watch him in the G League this year. I think could be an NBA player by next season if all goes right.
I think one thing that we learned from AJ Johnson is that there's more there than we probably gave credit for, which is, you know what, I'm not going to put that on us, man. Like, man barely played in Australia. Like, what are we doing? Like, how are we supposed to know that?
No, I know. I thought he was a little wing. I did not realize he was kind of a big point guard.
Yeah, he plays way bigger than I thought. Again, Summer League rosters are much smaller than NBA rosters. Yeah. So let's see how he fares against an actual NBA roster in whatever garbage time he gets in this year. But I think you're right. I think it's more of like a next year rather than 2 years from now question.
Again, Suki Hobson, put in that work with the development staff, get this guy a little less scrawny.
Work on the development staff headed up by Pete Dominguez, looking a little less good now.
I actually disagree. A lot of people are like Pete Dominguez should be fired. Such a bad coach. They have no spacing and their bigs are terrible. It's Summer League. And you got guys trying to, largely Marjon and a little bit AJ Johnson, just trying to take every shot and really just like pound the rock. Like, it is what it is. I'm not like, it's different than coaching any other context.
Yeah, I know, but still, It's just funny.
I know. But what did you have for stocks for AJ Johnson?
I had him at a +1.
I also had +1. I thought a good last game, he could have been higher than that. But overall, it was like, if he came out and looked like a rotation player now, that's a +3. And I think a less bumpy version of what we got is +2. But I think coming in thinking like, is this guy going to be ready at all? Some of the very impressive games he had, it was like, okay. I think it was hard to come out of Summer League and not see the vision for the pick.
Yeah, of course.
That handle is nice.
That handle is really nice. It's way better than I thought.
Yeah. Hey, set up his guy, Bronny James. He's probably learned a lot of this from his guy, Jalen Green. He's ready to go with the herd.
Just had to throw the Jalen Green in there. Had to. Should we talk about another young point guard in the Bucks system?
Oh, that wasn't where I thought you were going to go, but let's do it.
Yeah, I'm just trying to space out the rookies a little bit, retention and that. Hugo Besson.
Oh. I wouldn't even call him a point guard.
He technically is a point guard.
He actually did almost, he tied for the lead in assists per game. Oh my God.
Yeah.
God, the team was dreadful.
I'm telling you what, man, he's got some passing juice.
When he chooses to do it, which is rare, he does.
He does. But also, his game looks like it'll play so well for next season in Europe.
Yes.
Because it's not going to be in the NBA.
No. Shoots a lot. Does not make a lot. I think if he tried to balance it out and be a little more pass first, like his handle is solid, but he just takes so many ill-advised shots. Again, this is a bad Bucks Summer League team. I get it. But like every time he was in, somehow, despite tying for the lead in assists per game, it felt like he was getting up every single shot he possibly could. He's not athletic enough to do some of the drives and finishes he tries to do. So he basically ends up, a lot of his drives, it's like Euro step, try and float directly over a defender he did not gain any separation from, and just put the ball up around the rim somewhere. And that's why he shot 33% from the field and 18% from three in Summer League.
Yeah, it was not the best showing. I love how Milt Newton's just like, yeah, we'll keep finding homes in Europe for him.
He is going to be in a trade someday when it's like, something has to go back. There's no second round picks to lightly protect. It's Hugo time, baby.
The draft rights to Hugo Besson, 2022 draft?
Yeah, I believe so, yeah.
Crazy.
The Marjon draft?
I think so.
Wow.
Maybe?
It was fun to see him. It was fun to see him in person and know he's real. Hopefully this time he goes to a team that does not shut down after the season.
That'd be good. That's good.
Which was not his fault necessarily, but...
Yeah, you're definitely making it seem like he's the reason the team's shutting down.
I mean, no, it was Wemby left. There was no point in doing it anymore.
Yeah, I think they were already struggling with Wemby.
Yeah.
Which is crazy. But yeah, I had Hugo at a -2.
Oh, I just had 0. I had such little expectation coming in.
I think I had too high of expectations.
Okay. I'll go to minus. Well, he did pass well.
You know what? Maybe I'll say -1.
Yeah, I'll go also to -1.
Man will shoot some shots.
He will. He may not make them, but he will shoot the shots.
Yep. Where do you want to go next?
He really needs to space the floor a lot better.
Yeah, he can't shoot to save his life from distance.
No, and that's from Europe as well. Let's talk about friend of the pod, TyTy Washington Jr.
There we go.
Who I think clawed his way up to a 0.
I think so.
Abysmal start in his first 2 games. I thought his last 2 games he was actually quite good. And he ends up scoring 11.3 points per game, shooting 43% from the field and 36% from 3, which by Bucks Summer League standards, is actually excellent. That 3-point percentage is second on the team among the real rotation guys to only CL, which again says a lot about how this team went overall, but also I think is a credit to TyTy. Ends with 2.3 assists to 1 turnover per game. Didn't rebound very well. Didn't look great early on, but then kind of heated up from distance and made more of his middies as Summer League went on, which was just nice to see. We don't really know where he stands contractually right now. I think he is just on a summer contract. I certainly do not think he played himself into let's really carve out a roster or two-way spot, although I think he did outplay one of the 3 two-way players clearly. But overall, while he was not as good as Ryan Rollins and lost ground to him, he ended up having an okay Summer League, all told.
Yeah, I think he really rounded himself into shape, right? In terms of the Bucks Summer League team. Again, he was a guy, in addition to Ryan Rollins, you felt comfortable with him handling the ball by the end of it. He has a silky handle, man. He had some nice interior passes as well. I mean, I still believe.
Yeah. If he was a little bit more athletic, I think he'd be a clear NBA player, or a little either or. I think really, but he doesn't get by players that well. But he's crafty enough to score anyway. He is a good passer. I still like him quite a bit. But yeah, you got 0 movement as well.
Yeah, I think I'm at 0.
If you just caught the first couple games, you would think he should be -3. If you just caught the last couple, you might think +3 might be a bit much, although he did play pretty well his last 2 games. But I think he rounded it out to a solid 0 after a pretty disappointing start, which was a little disheartening, but it is what it is.
Yeah. Should we go to one of the other main Bucks here? That's Andre Jackson Jr.
Oh, yeah.
Had finger surgery?
Yeah, broke a finger during Summer League play. Ended up missing, what did he miss, 2 games?
Yeah.
Yeah, he played in 3. Maybe blissfully his Summer League ended early. I don't know. Maybe he would have rounded out like TyTy did as well. Did not like the way he played Summer League very much at all.
-1.
I had -2.
I can see it.
Because my thinking is he came in as the guy who was like, I'm in the rotation. I came in and played playoff games.
I was playing. Yeah, exactly. I was swinging games in the playoffs.
Yeah, and it started games last season for the multiple games for the Milwaukee Bucks when Giannis was
8.
Out, something like that. Yeah. Certainly played more minutes than anyone else here on the NBA floor. Obviously, AJ Green played the most, and that's why he was not here. Which again, maybe they should have just told AJ to bite the bullet for a couple games because they really could have used that spacing, but or just find.
You think AJ would have had like a 30-point game or something?
I mean, he could have. They might have gotten to a point where they just passed it to him every time. Because I do feel like when a guy would get hot, the rest of the Summer League would just be like, please keep going. We don't have enough juice. Please keep this up.
So sad.
When AJ Johnson got hot, they were like, dude, go ahead. Please. At one point in his best game, he called Marjon over and had him screen for him. And I was like, wow, he just took over this, huh? It was such a little thing, but it was such a crazy moment to me, and Marjon did it, and I was like, damn, dude. That guy came in here as like the guy, and now the rookie is like, hey, man, give me some space around the screen. AJ Johnson had a really fun Summer League. Andre Jackson Jr. did not. Shot 14% from 3. And again, I think disagreed about this after our first Summer League pod. Not like we fought over it or anything, but I didn't like the way his shot looked. I thought it looked a little clunkier than regular season from last year, which I really hope that's not the case because, they went in, didn't draw any fouls, had a couple insane putbacks that were super fun, finished at the rim, again, just a couple times, but turned the ball over a lot of silly passes that were just foolish, which again, this is supposed to be the guy who's like closest to rotation minutes. He did not look it in Summer League, which is a little concerning.
Yeah, I mean, CL blew him out of the water in that regard. In terms of looking like it. I mean, you've mentioned in the past, this is not the best, sort of basketball situation for an Andre Jackson Jr. He thrives off of organized basketball where he can be an agent of chaos rather than it just being an agent of chaos within chaos, which is Summer League.
Yeah.
But it's like throwing a live hand grenade in the middle of a nuclear bombing and expecting it to make a difference.
Jesus Christ.
Like, if you throw a hand grenade into like normal basketball, you're like, oh, this is a lot. But if you throw it into Summer League, it doesn't make any difference.
I feel better about my Normandy comments now.
What? I didn't say any specific.
No, I know. It's just the visual of just like Andre Jackson Jr. being a grenade and the Bucks Summer League experience being a nuke does feel fitting after the basketball we watched, but what an allegory.
I'm trying my best out here.
Instead of nuclear bomb versus crying baby, it's nuclear bomb and hand grenade.
Oh my goodness. But yeah, was
it nuking a hurricane?
I think so.
Yeah.
Speaking of, make sure you see Twisters at I don't know what I'm doing. But
have you seen it?
No, I have not.
Oh, so you just did yeah. Nice.
Yeah. Glenn Powell, Daisy Edgar Jones, please sponsor us.
Glenn Powell, come on the pod.
Yeah. Why, you don't want Daisy?
I don't know as much about her.
Fair.
Yeah.
Brisket, come on the pod.
Don't know. Just like, what?
It's Glenn Powell's dog.
Oh, yeah. Hell yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, Ajax. I think -2 is fair, actually.
Are you scooting yours?
I think so. Because it was so disappointing.
Yeah, I was quite disappointed in this one.
Oh well. See, here's the thing. He should look better when it's actual Bucks basketball, but this does not leave a good taste. No,
especially, he didn't it's a very small sample, of course, on the threes, but I didn't think they looked very good either.
They didn't.
And that is still, again, like I've shared the stat before and trying to temper the Ajax optimism. They lost his minutes on the floor with Giannis last regular season. And I know the Bucks were a mess and things, but also they were the best team in the league with their big three and core four on the floor. The spacing concern is real, did not alleviate that, and also did not really excel at the rest of his game either. I didn't think he looked like a point guard with the ball in his hands.
I don't know if the spacing concern was much of a thing. It's just like he doesn't... He in that role, he would be best suited as like a short roll operator, right? Considering you have Giannis, Dame, and Khris. Or Giannis in those minutes alone, if we want to take that. He's not going to shoot at the rim anyway, so the spacing doesn't matter. But it just, I don't know what it is. He just wasn't playing the role he needed to play with Giannis on the court.
I think they tried to give him some point guard chops. I know a lot of people have been like, oh, Ajax can be the backup point guard. And I just didn't like his decision making. And again, it's really hard to be a non-shooting point guard, especially if you're not just threes, but like you said, there's times where he just won't shoot anything when he has the ball in his hands. I mean, it's just real easy to not guard that guy and make life hard on the offense. So I think he's got in camp and preseason and everything to really has some ground to make up here to get back into that rotational role he was in.
Yeah, I think so. And yeah, he's definitely not a backup point guard. He's like a backup 3-4.
Yeah, he's kind of in between positionally. Still excited about his future.
He's like a Bruce Brown.
Yeah, that's probably what we wanted to be a Markelle Fultz. Still out there. Imagine they dump somebody and just add Markelle Fultz tomorrow.
Bro, I don't know what I'd do.
I don't even know how the rotation would work.
I think he would be the backup point guard. You'd move DeLon to the backup 2.
Yeah.
And then
I don't even know if I like it as much anymore. Yeah. I mean, the talent's undeniable, but... Don't know if he might end up losing his rotational role at some point, though, if he didn't play well. So, anyway, enough Fultz fanfic. I had Ibu Baji at a -1.
Yeah, he doesn't have functioning hands.
No, that makes it a little difficult, which is weird because he's it'll seem like a good free throw shooter. I guess he probably only made 2 the whole time, or 1 maybe, but yeah, just He's kind of too slow to get up for blocks unless you go right at him. Didn't think he was a great rebounder. He had 3.3 rebounds at that size per game is not great, even only in 13 minutes per game.
It's not great, right? I mean, he's still like a very, very raw player. I mean, the size is there. Like, you can't teach big, which is why Portland always calls him up.
Dude, if they do it again, I'm just going to get him from the start.
Yeah, just have him on your G League team. Maybe he just loves Oshkosh, man.
Maybe. I mean, who doesn't?
I know, right? Who doesn't want to go to the Electric Lounge?
Everyone. Don't give a free... Oh, my God. But I didn't have huge expectations for Ibu coming in, but he was a raw prospect 2 years ago and is coming into his first summer league summer with the Bucks and has gotten called up by Portland twice and has dealt with some injuries that have kept him off the floor a bit. So that's part of the reason I think that he still looks this raw, but still at this point, you would just like to see some more polish or something you can look at with him and go like, oh yeah, that's what he's really good at. I think it probably is blocking shots, but didn't get a great chance to show that in Summer League. Just didn't feel impactful around the basket. Like Tyler Smith and CL were able to feel like they had more force, and that's just not what you want to say about a center with bad hands who was not able to do much else on the floor. So again, didn't have huge expectations coming in, but thought he was underwhelming still.
Yeah, just very underwhelming. -1, -2, I was in between. I mean, very underwhelmed.
Flip side, one of my last remaining upstocks, Philip Alston, who I'm hoping this means he will end up on the Herd this season. Didn't shoot the three great, didn't look bad though on the shots, but 50% from the field, only played the last 3 games, I believe, kind of got his way into the rotation, started the last game of Summer League for the Bucks, and really looked like he deserved it. A wing who moved well, looked pretty good on the defensive end, knocked down a nice 3 off a feed, I think from CL on a really nice dribble handoff action, rebounded the ball well, made some nice passing reads. I had no idea who this player was coming in, was not on my radar at all, even after I saw the roster. And I thought played clearly the best out of the, who the hell is that guy? Summer League Bucks. So a ceremonial upstock to Philip Alston. Hope we get to see some more of him at some point.
Yeah, I mean, just came out of nowhere, right? I mean, he's still a young guy. What is he, 22 years old? He's
22, was undrafted this year out of Loyola.
Yeah. I think could be a solid Herd player. I mean, you would know, you can speak to this more, but always need good wing play.
Oh, and yeah.
You know what? Fair enough.
Yeah, I don't think he can shoot, which is probably why he went undrafted. And he actually was not a very good passer either at Loyola, which is not super concerning. But the way he looked he started out his first college, get this, California University of Pennsylvania.
Huh?
I have questions. Played there for 2 years and then transferred to Loyola, the Illinois one, a much more real school.
Is there another one?
There. I think there is.
Huh. Okay. Interesting.
I didn't know there was a California in Pennsylvania.
That's true.
There's one in Maryland.
Oh,
and there's one in New Orleans. And there's one in LA. Wow.
I mean, all Jesuit schools, I'm assuming.
Yep.
Makes sense.
Men for and with others.
What?
It's a good tagline. What?
Oh,
that's what it said on the
okay.
website.
I thought you were just
That wasn't my read. No, that wasn't my read on. Any other Philip Alston thoughts, or where did you have him for stocks?
Yeah, +1, +2, whatever you want to say. I mean, yeah, well, positive for sure.
Yeah. Where do you want to go next?
I guess Tyler Smith or Jalen Galloway, the 2 remaining Bucks guys.
Let's do Tyler Smith now, and the real sickos can ride with us through Jalen Galloway, Vin Baker, and Kihei Clark after if they want to.
Yeah, so Tyler Smith definitely looked like a second-round pick for a lot of Summer League, but also that shot looks so good.
Yeah.
It looks so good.
I'm gonna raise him up. Go on. I just raised him up 1.
He can't play as a center. No. Sorry, Jake Fisher, but he cannot.
Not yet.
Not yet, for sure. Just gets lost on defense so much.
Oh, yeah.
What did we call him? We called him a Minecraft villager. Just trying to
the YouTube comments love that one.
just wandering all over the place. Yeah. But I mean, the offensive chops are there. Like, he can hit pull-ups, he can hit spot up threes, he can finish around the rim really creatively as well. I mean, that's an offensive bag right there.
I mean, there was a possession in the Washington game where he got the Khris Livingston got the rebound, passes it to Tyler Smith. Tyler Smith brings the ball up the court and then throws a cross-court pass for a three. I forget who was in the corner. There was another one where he got the rebound. He brought it up and just knocked down a pull-up three, like, himself. And I was like, okay, didn't expect to see Tyler Smith bringing up the ball and it working for multiple possessions. But yeah, I think we talked so much about with him, it was like the traits. He's got plus traits. I think he showed them off. Again, he ends up shooting 28% from three. Don't care. The shot looked good. I believe he will make threes at a plus level over a bigger sample. I am not concerned about that at all. Ended up with 7 rebounds per game, which I think is very solid. He played under 22 minutes. I thought he was active on the glass. He's very athletic, and it helps him a lot, even though he's not strong and doesn't have a great base. Ended up with 1.4 assists to 1 turnovers per game. Like, took care of the ball at a pretty solid level for a 19-year-old. Just, like, really energetic. Needs to learn where to go on defense. Needs to make free throws. I think he was like 0 for 1 or 0 for 2 total in Summer League. But not too concerned about that right now either. Excited to watch him with the Herd this season, I'm guessing primarily. I think a couple Bucks stints would be very fun, though.
Emergency big.
This guy next to Giannis would be incredibly fun lineups. And the Summer Bucks clearly trusted him. I mean, they were going to him in the corners a lot, and he made some nice contested threes out of those looks. Also, this is probably going to be like as worse spacing as he'll play in, potentially even versus playing on the Herd. So excited to see what he can do with more run, but I'm moving him up to +2. I was actually, I'd say, pretty impressed, even though I came in expecting a decent amount. I like the way he played, even acknowledging he has no idea where to go on defense.
No, he has absolutely no weight. No idea what he's supposed to do on defense. But yeah, promising for sure.
100%. What's your stock?
I was teetering between +2 and +1.
Where are you going to end up?
Let's be nice. Let's say +2.
Yeah. I did think there were some times he defended on the perimeter and like a more switch configuration.
He can move.
And he looked solid out there. So I think worst case, he could be a Bobby Portis kind of defender. And best case, he could be better. He's just got to figure it out. What?
I thought you said best case, he could be a Bobby Portis defender. I'm like, oh no.
No, I think he could be a bit better than that. He's more athletic, I would say.
Yeah, that quickness is there.
Yeah, I think he wants it too. I think he wants to be a good two-way player. He's just got to get there. We'll see how it works for him.
Yeah.
Jalen
Galloway.
I had no movement.
No. Didn't impress me either way. I mean, he played. Good for him.
Yep. Didn't play much. No. Less than 10 minutes per game. Played less than Philip Alston per game.
Yeah, it was tough. I mean, he showed some flashes of athleticism and pop and burst, but he also showed sometimes it's like, okay, what do you do on a basketball court?
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't know. I couldn't really get a lot from him.
Yeah, there's like some good defensive possessions, but I wouldn't call it like lockdown necessarily. Didn't shoot the ball well. Didn't look super comfortable shooting it. Like, again, yeah, to your point, like, what does he do offensively is a real question. I mean, I think right now, if you had to allocate 2 ways, we know Umude is on one. I would do Rollins and TyTy Washington on the other 2, I think. Even though you'd love to have more shots at true wing players, which Galloway is, I just don't know that he has necessarily showed you enough. But also, I wonder, do you not want to overdo it with point guards if you know AJ Johnson's going to play down there a lot? We'll see if that impacts things at all. But in terms of like how players actually looked, I mean, Rollins obviously, and I'd say TyTy played significantly better than Galloway, who just didn't put his stamp on the game. No,
he really didn't. But yeah, it was tough. We'll see what the Bucks do with their 2 ways. But yeah, it was. He didn't really go out there and take it.
No.
Like Ryan Rollins did.
And again, it's not a good format for a defensive-minded wing either, but I think he could have put more on a stamp on it that way and wasn't really able to do so. And then offensively, just always feels like he's just kind of there.
Yeah. So no movement for me.
Yeah. Okay. Which is not good. I mean, this was an opportunity. again, I tweeted this. I had 5 players who had some sort of plus versus 6 who had some sort of minus. And the pluses, I think, stand out because of how bad everyone else was. But it was a big opportunity for TyTy, for Jalen Galloway, I guess for Hugo, although realistically probably it wasn't. And they were not able to capitalize.
Yeah. Clark?
Gave him a -1.
Sure.
I mean, barely played. It's a little harsh. I mean, maybe I'll put it down to 0. How much did he play?
He played 4 minutes.
He played 12 minutes. I'm gonna call it 0.
I'm surprised we're even doing it.
1 for 4 on free throws and no assists to a turnover. It's just rough for like a pass first point guard, but barely played. So I'm just gonna call it 0.
Just kind of small.
Very small.
Yeah. Like, I think we're taller than him.
Can confirm.
Yeah. We've
He's hard worker, tries to do the right things on the basketball court, but
he's listed at 5'10". I thought he was listed at 6 foot and above.
No, yeah.
Yeah, that's tough. And then Vin Baker Jr.
I had -1.
Yeah.
Again, probably harsh.
I think 0 for me. Because he actually showed in the first couple games, like, he has some utility.
After that, though, I was calling for them to put in Vin Sr. instead. I will say 0, because after game 1, I initially complained about his minutes, but then I was like, he's DH showing for the guards. That's helpful. And then you just realized that was maybe because he couldn't do anything else. And then when he tried to do other things, it went poorly, but oh well.
He's capable of playing within his role. That's something you can't say for other guys. That
is true. So the big winners from Summer League, Chris Livingston, Ryan Rollins, Tyler Smith, and then AJ Johnson and Philip Alston. That is not the 5 names I would have expected before this.
You'd have expected a Marjon, an Ajax.
Yeah.
An Ibubaji.
Perhaps.
I'm kidding.
There was Hugo excitement. TyTy Washington maybe had a big opportunity. Again, I think kind of squandered it, but ended up not at least losing too much ground. Although
listen, I'm always there for Hugo. I'm always here for a Hugo. Maybe I'm just not good at talent evaluation.
I don't know. I just don't know. I just think you'd pick guys that you want to like, and then you do, which is admirable.
You know what? I try my best.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, Blake Perkins should have been an all-star.
That'll do it for this episode of the Eurostuff.
Top 10 outfielder, according to whatever his name is.
Well, I think that, yeah.
Or center fielder. Let me be very clear.
And by top 10, you mean 10th. And I think that's probably just like a war number or something, but hey.
Hey, it's there for a reason.
Shout out to Perk. What a big Perk.
Big Perk. But yeah, that'll do it for this episode of the Eurostuff here on Blue Wire GSPN, presented by Prize Picks. Again, like we mentioned up top, if you want a commercial-free feed, exclusive GSPN After Dark pod, all of our written content, make sure you're subscribed at gspn.info. And check out gspn.info for all of our links, all of our pods. You want actual Brewers content, you can hear Andrew and Adam talk about that on Cruising for a Bruisin'. Kenny Clark just got a big deal. I'm sure the top guys are going to be talking about that. Jordan Tresky and Newmark, the aforementioned Newmark, happy belated birthday.
Waiting for one more deal maybe, but yeah, there will be Packers contract talk this week for sure. It's coming.
Okay. We need J-Love to resign.
We do.
But yeah, make sure you check that out. Check out all our stuff at gspn.info. Make sure you're subscribed wherever you're listening or watching this. Pod Random, and we'll talk to you next time.